Hey everybody, happy to have you with me today. Would you like to see some new Wet n Wild stuff? I didn't even know I was looking for this because I went into Walgreens because I hadn't been actually into a Walgreens for what seemed like the longest time, and so I was looking at some of the different gift sets and seeing if there was anything good, you know, drugstore price range, holiday gifts, just see what they had to offer. And I did find some cute little things which I will also share in this video, but I also found this display of new Wet n Wild stuff, new palettes, new lip products, new like cream eyeshadow stuff. They even had a lip scrub there, which I didn't go for because it was a little lip scrub in a pot, and I was just, no. But you know what kind of feeling I had? I had the feeling from back in the day when you are going into Walgreens hunting down something that you're not getting in a PR package, you know? In recent memory, I think I've been sent one thing from Wet n Wild. I'm not really sure what happened because a long time ago they even called me a beauty ambassador, which simply meant that I was one of the people that would get sent their new releases. But I'm sure personnel and strategies change, and so with Wet n Wild stuff, I tend to feel like my old self, like going to a Walgreens and hunting stuff down. Well, in this situation, it kind of found me because I wasn't expecting it, but when I saw it, I thought, yes, I'm getting every one of these 4 eyeshadow palettes, and I chose the other lip and eye products that appealed to me most, and I enjoyed having that moment in the store where I was like, oh, you know, look what I found, having that find, having a haul. I hope in the midst of all the PR, which I am grateful for it, but I hope in this beauty landscape we're in now, that the authentic, genuine finding of products by your own self doesn't get completely lost, because I love that feeling. So there are 4 different eyeshadow palettes now, and I will swatch these for you. I will do a tutorial with one of them. That's the look I have today, kind of a halo eye or an attempt at one. Also the other eye product, the 2 lip products that I got, and then at the end, like I said, we'll focus on the more random stuff. But as far as these palettes go, they were all labeled with new. The display said new, it did not say limited edition, and sometimes the stickers on their products will say limited edition if they are. But there are 4 different palettes in their newest, I guess, palette design. All of them are a mix of matte and shimmer, and you are guaranteed 2 mattes in this little section, top and bottom, the largest shadows that are labeled transition. So those will always be matte, and overall it's just a 10 color palette. So some consistent opinions I've garnered through swatching these out and playing with these a little bit is that I think the mattes are really consistent throughout the palettes. They seem smooth, they seem pigmented enough, but like you put your brush in and they're not going to go completely crazy with fallout and powder just dusting up everywhere. You're not going to see that. You're going to see a nice buildability with those. And some palettes have more than others. In this palette you're getting the most shimmer. There's only 4 mattes. You got 5 mattes in this purpley toned one, 6 mattes in this palette. That's the winner for most mattes, and then there's 5 mattes in here. Now with the shimmers in these palettes, I feel like we're dealing with a couple of different formulas. I'll use this one as an example. We've got some where it almost looks like, if you look closely at these, they look like there's sort of a concentrated sparkle happening in there. And then there are others, like say this bronze, that are more of a smooth metallic. They have that nice sheen without the presence of little particles. Also in a couple of these palettes, we've got several right here in the purple palette, these 3 kind of most bold pinky purples, and then the green and blue in this palette that I might even call more of a satin finish, like they're not extremely shimmery, and that's yet another finish to adjust to as you're using these products. And the issues really vary from palette to palette. I'm going to start with this one here. This is called Stop Playing Safe, and it's got the fun, you know, blue and green pop that immediately caught my eye as soon as I saw this collection on display. 3 mattes right here, a pearlescent kind of peach shade, of course your 2 mattes top and bottom, a buttery yellow, a shimmery light green, a real true grassy green, and then your blue at the bottom. The mattes perform really nice, they swatch nice smooth evenness to them. As far as the shimmers go, this green I expected so much more. When I first like applied the shadow to my lid, I thought I really want to see that color more. With some patience and building it up, you'll get close to what you see in the pan, but that's just something you got to be aware of. Also, this shade does not swatch impressively, really. This sort of soft seafoam green, but maybe if you're willing to layer that up on top of a base, like I did right here in the center of my lid, you'll get somewhere with that color. Some people have expectations like, this is what I want the palette to do immediately, no extra work required. And then others might be like, okay, I'm willing to invest a little more time or the use of other techniques to help these shadows stand out. And I really believe that a strong tacky base would be best for your greens and blue in this palette. Everything else I found to be pretty consistent, but we do see these shades in this palette and we want that strength of color, and you're gonna have to work a little bit to get there. And after I'm done talking about these other palettes, I will show you how I got this look today. This one I had really high hopes for, but there are some facts about this palette that you need to know. First off, I think it's a great transition color here. I love this sort of honey mustard thing happening. A really nice rich matte brown. These two are matte here at the bottom, this gray and black, so they've really got us covered with basics. And in terms of goldeny bronzy shades, those are good too. I even like this color here. That's sort of this metallic chrome lilac, really cool. But I expected so much more out of these two guys right here, and they have that little like minuscule sparkle. It's a little different texture than what you're seeing in the other shades. And what's sad about it is that they don't show up with a lot of that peacocky teal intensity or a real purpley shade. Once these really get blended out on the eyes, look what they look like. I mean, just dark. They look more intense right off the bat on my finger, but once applied, it's not that they're not pigmented, they just aren't able to deliver on those specific colors. They don't look anything like those colors. So if you were buying this palette with your eye really solely focused on those and how beautiful those might be, sadly, they are disappointing. A lot of the other stuff happening in this palette I like. I even think this is a good one right up here, but you're missing out on some real intensity out of those two shadows. And that's where the main color punch out of that palette would appear to be, so just keep that in mind. The palette that probably excites me most, and you guys know I like pink and purple, but just from an overall quality perspective, I'm really pleased with what's going on in this one. You do have some really nice basic mattes. I like that the transition shades in all of these, while basic colors, they did something kind of different in every palette. And this murky, like little bit of plum, little bit of taupe shade, really like that. You got a brown down here at the bottom, some really basic, rich, deep mattes over here, and also a matte right here. Then there's a gold, and over here this nice range of purpley tones. This one at the bottom is kind of like iridescent. Sometimes it looks a little more purpley, sometimes looking close at it I can see a bit more blue in that shade. So maybe a fun layering opportunity, but these three shades here have that kind of satin finish. The purple is not quite as satisfying as I'd like that purple to be. That one's going to be a builder for sure. The pinks, berry type color, enjoy those very much. I think there are options to get a beautiful, fully neutral eye out of this palette, but also to throw in a few splashes of color, and I really like that. Now this last one here, I feel like I've seen this exact color scheme. This is called my Glamour Squad. I feel like I've seen this play out maybe in a different Wet n Wild palette that I've gotten from Walmart or something, so you might, I don't know, consider what you already have when you look at this. And it's obviously the most neutral and perhaps common color scheme out of everything, but there is some really good stuff happening here. Like, look at what's happening in this bottom sort of quad of the palette. I mean, really rich tones, a true black. It's very impressive. They do a good gold in these palettes, I feel like. The seemingly rose gold shade in here is kind of soft. You might expect a little more out of that, and then there's kind of a taupey rose as well, which I think is very pretty. This light shimmer here is very smooth. It really builds up in a hurry, so you might find a little need to build the rose gold shade, but all in all, a pretty strong palette. I think it's filled with good basics. The question may be, do you already have something that looks a lot like this from Wet n Wild? Now, real quick before we move on to my little demo with the one palette, I wanted to show you this too. It's the Mega Last Liquid Catsuit Cream Liquid Eyeshadow, and they had several of these that were packaged with black caps, and they all seem to be a matte sort of skin tone shade. They had a small range of colors, so I went with the one that seemed most like my skin tone. Maybe they were designed to work as a base or something that could help you with a cut crease or a halo eye or something like that. The shade I have is called Putty in My Hands, and it does set up. It doesn't remain tacky on the skin, and you'll see the couple of ways that I made use of this in my tutorial. But they had some shimmery ones as well, which I didn't go for just because I didn't really feel like I had a need for them. I would say maybe 6 to 8 different metallic looking products like this. And then what excited me was to find the Mega Last Liquid Catsuit High Shine lipsticks. So before they were making these as a matte liquid lipstick, now they're putting out a shine finish. I have seen a few brands kind of working toward this trend, and by the way, let me apologize for my really messy bun today. Like, it's barely hanging on up there. But I'll tell you right now, I'm a fan of this formula. It's smooth, it's creamy, it's not sticky. I feel these two shades I have are very opaque. The way the applicator is, there's like a little scoop, and I would say my one piece of advice would be to not over apply. Use what's in the scoop, and you probably won't need to dip into your tube for more, because I think if you do, you'll feel a little overloaded. Things might start to become a little streaky looking, and it's just more than you need. So I would say fully apply to one lip, give it a little and then smooth out your top lip, and that will probably give you everything you need from these. But the first shade I'll show you going on is called Wine is the Answer, and this is a creamy, really beautiful berry color, great for this time of year if you're looking for a good berry, and they just feel moisturizing. You know, they feel comfortable on the lips. This is the time of year that these kinds of products need to be coming out. So props to Wet n Wild on that. And then the shade that I've been wearing throughout the video is called Cedar Later. And this is probably the dustiest of dusty roses. You know, it's got a lot of brown in it, a lot of neutral, but still that little bit of rosiness. And I think it's a super all-purpose wearable shade. I mean, it works with my greenish eye look that I'm wearing today, but it could work with a lot of things. So I'm excited about these. I think it's great that they came out with this shiny formula. It is the kind of thing where you can blot away some shine, you'll still have some color left behind on the lips, but essentially it's just like a really pigmented lip gloss. The reasons I like this are a lot of the reasons why I like those L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte glosses, you know? I feel these have a little more slickness and high shine nature to them, but they're very enjoyable, comfortable, and I would highly recommend them. Now I wanted to show you an eye look, kind of making it work, so to speak, with one of the most questionable palettes that I had. I mean, there were two here. This one probably is the least satisfying to me because I thought, gosh, you know, those two shades where you want to see some color intensity, they really couldn't bring it. This one had a lot going for it and a color scheme that I very much enjoy over here. And while I was kind of discouraged by the way some of these shades swatched, I really wanted to show you how they go on and how you could go about making them work if that's something that interests you. So take a look. Okay, little tutorial mode here. I've got this Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit Cream Liquid Eyeshadow. I went for the shade that seemed closest to my skin tone, and I'll basically use this as primer. As you can see, it sort of neutralizes discoloration in the lids. This is an interesting shade because a lot of things are a little lighter than this. A lot of different skin tone base type products. But that seems like a real match. It seems like it's already setting up, kind of, like it doesn't feel tacky at all. And I typically like my primers to offer that little bit of tackiness to really let the shadows stick. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to use this palette today called Stop Playing Safe, and I'm going to use this transition shade up top. They have two shades actually labeled as transition, and that's your larger top and bottom colors in the palette. And from what I can tell, just with the feel of these shadows and the swatching and stuff and the application, the matte shades are really strong. Smooth, pigmented, seem to apply evenly. Now I think I'll apply a little bit of the deeper transition shade too and kind of layer that up here on the outside. It's not overwhelming me with crazy color right off the bat. I mean, if you were a Wet n Wild user when Comfort Zone was new and it was like that split pan 4-in-4 type eyeshadow palette, they also had one called Petal Pusher around that time. It was when their color icon formula was like brand new, and you would dip into a shadow and there would immediately be like just so much, and it almost took all drugstore makeup users by storm, sort of like, oh my gosh, this exists. So that was great and all, and then I think the reality of the situation was that it might have been almost too much. We like something to be pigmented, but we also like it to be user-friendly and not like flake up everywhere when our brush goes into it. I'm going to use a little bit of this rosy tone here. There are three mattes happening right here as well. I'm just kind of layering them up, seeing what I get here in the crease. I really like that shade that's a little reddish. So I really enjoy kind of what they've been able to achieve with their matte shadows, but I think shimmers are what seem to be a little bit hit and miss with some of these new palettes. And sometimes the color in the pan appears a little more vibrant than what you actually end up with. So basically I did that shade, and that shade, and they ended up just getting sort of blended there in the crease. And I think I'll go with the lightest color with my E40 brush. And we'll kind of take that upward, and that's a little deep as a highlight for me, but it can kind of blend the edge. What could be a highlight for me is that top kind of buttery color right here. It's pretty yellowy, but it can do. Now I can tell you for a fact that that liquid catsuit base that I put on my lid has definitely set. It does not feel sticky at all. It really just feels like the natural state of my eyelid before starting this look. So we'll see how much intensity we can get out of this. I was thinking of doing sort of a halo eye, maybe with the green and then a little pop. Try to pop in some of this lighter green in the middle. We'll see what we can do here with the flat brush. Pick some of that up. Not translating much. This is a shadow that did not really swatch impressively, but I was willing to, you know, see it through and see what would happen here, but I'm going to keep building. It's a very like grassy kind of green. It's not a dark forest green. I'm just going to go all over the lid with it and see what I can achieve here. Okay, we're green all over. I think that's about as green as I can make it. And it took quite a bit of building, but I'm not unhappy with that result. Now I'm gonna go back to this liquid catsuit and we're gonna give a little dab of this, like kind of right in the center of the lid. I know it's not giving me a lot of tacky texture, but it'll just give us lightness here. And I just use a flat brush to help me smooth that out. So now we just have kind of a dull looking center of the lid, but I'm gonna pop on that light shimmery shade and see where we can go with this. This color right here, pack some of that on. This is another shade that did not swatch impressively, but it seems like directly getting it on top of something that's going to help intensify the lightness and brightness, it's doing a lot better. Now I can clean off my brush a little bit and use a little more of the true green shade on either side. Inside and outside. Again, that's not a super strong color, so it's not going to be the most high contrast halo eye you've ever seen. Let's even try a little bit of the blue on the outside. Oh, that's kind of fun. The blue says, hey, I'll come to play here. Okay. The blue mixed in with the green definitely adds a little something extra. I think I'll just take like maybe this color here, one of these lighter medium mattes, and use that to kind of be my edge. I want things to make sense here on the inner crease. Just kind of go over things. And then I'll use my pencil brush going right into the blue on the lower lash line. And I'm seeing some decent blue here, you know? It's not too dark, it's not too navy to where it just looks black. Like, I can actually see some real color there. And then maybe I'll go inward with some of the green, just for continuity. The green struggles a little bit more to show up, but near the blue it's kind of pretty. So for the finished look here, I have a light liner in my lower inner rim, black liquid liner across the top, and my Ardell Wispies lashes. And I am pleased with the way it all turned out. I just feel like this palette really needed some kid gloves, so to speak. It's not necessarily something where you're gonna dab into these bold colors and have a what you see is what you get moment. You need to arm yourself, I think, with a little patience in building it up, and perhaps what might have even been more useful than the actual liquid catsuit base that comes from this line would have been a more tacky base that could have really grabbed the shadow even more. And I did pull just a little bit of this buttery yellow shimmer right around the inner corner. Okay guys, so while we're all here, I'll just go ahead and show you what else I hauled from Walgreens. I needed some cotton rounds, so I got those. Not very exciting, but necessary. And then, did you guys know that Walgreens has like their own sort of store brand skincare line that actually looks pretty promising? We're talking around $10 or less per product, and most things have this little free from label on here that says free from parabens, phthalates, sulfates, alcohol, for example, on these toner pads. It wasn't a huge line, but they had several different cleansers, moisturizers, and I just want to see what it was all about. So I got a hydrating facial mist. You guys have probably had your cucumber mist and your rosewater mist. Well, this is a cucumber, rosewater, and hyaluronic acid mist. And it says refreshes skin, pH balanced, won't clog pores. This does have a really fresh scent, but it kind of keeps me from picking out purely cucumber or rose. Like, I'm not sure what I'm smelling. It's just kind of fresh and clean. I wouldn't spray this directly at your face because it's a little too direct from the sprayer, so you really need to aim it up and let it fall down. Just feeling it all fall down on my skin still, though. I wish the droplets were a little bit more fine, but that's one thing that they're offering in that line. And then I want to work with these some more, but these refreshing facial toner pads with cucumber. I used one of these today. They say after cleansing skin, wipe pads across face and neck, use once or twice daily. As advertised, it did feel very refreshing, I must say. So I'm going to stick with using these for a while. That wind is howling out there. I know people in northern parts of Illinois had like blizzard warnings. We didn't get any of that. We got a little rain, and we're getting, I think, all the wind that may have gone along with their blizzard. Okay, what else here, friends? I'll show you some of the things that I thought would be so cute to put in my girls' stockings. Walgreens has some really cute stocking stuffer type items. Kind of toward the front of their beauty aisle was where I found it, and it's from the brand brand Simple Pleasures, and so I got these little Snowman bath bomb things, and they really love bath bombs. This is Peppermint Swirl, this is Vanilla Cranberry, and it's 3 bath bombs in each just kind of stacked up, so I thought they would have fun with that. Also for the tub, I got them these Sugar Frosting Scented Bath Fizzers. Look at these, aren't they adorable? We're all about the bath time excitement in this house, so gotta give them those. And then also from that section, I thought these were really cute. These little lip balms, they love the feeling of like, oh, I'm putting on lip balm. Vanilla Cranberry and Sugar Frosting, a little gingerbread girl and a snowman. I thought those were so sweet, and they would really get a kick out of them. You guys know though, lip balm is the gateway drug of the makeup world. And then let's talk Real Techniques for a second, because I ran into several of these little ornament guys here, and I think I'm going to give these as gifts to people because I do own like these types of brushes in full sizes, but they have a mini buffing brush this year. I thought they always did like a mini short-handled expert face brush. This is the buffing brush, so it's a little more full, but it's great for applying foundation or BB creams. It's just a little more full on the overall brush head, so they have one of those. They also have a mini medium blush brush, so I think you're getting a slightly smaller brush head than what you normally would with their full-size blush brush. But that's another great thing that I'm always meaning to use more from my Real Techniques brush stash, that's hard to say. It's so nicely tapered. It's one of these sort of egg-shaped brushes that might be really nice for overall powder, bronzer, of course blush. But what's nice about it is that it's so tapered, you can pick up product down the whole side of the brush. You can dab it in kind of flat into your product and maybe pick up some bronzer that way. You could pick up a little blush right off the tip and apply that to the apple of the cheek. So you kind of control how the product picks up. But can you see what the design is on the handle with these? I don't really want to unbox them because like I said, I'm going to gift these. But they've got this fun, really shiny, like itty bitty circles print there and then a color at the bottom. And then lastly, how could I not? Look at these little eye brushes. I mean, can you handle that? Can you handle the squattiness, the adorable chunkiness of these little eye brushes? I think a couple of great blending options here. One is more of a full blender. Think of using that in the way I use my E40 usually to maybe apply a highlight or just blend out the look. And then this other is a little bit smaller, more the size and shape of a Sigma E25. So that's normally what I initially reach for to get color going in the crease, let's say. So these brushes would perform those kinds of functions for you, but they're mini and they're cute. And actually, if you got all these, you might have a pretty darn nice travel brush set, right? Because you'd have your like foundation concealer, your powder, bronzer, blush, highlight, and then you'd have the makings of a pretty simple eye look with these too. So I knew that wasn't going to end well. Last little thing I'll mention here is I've had so many requests since CoverGirl has announced that they have gone cruelty-free. I've had a lot of requests for like a best of the brand or a full CoverGirl look, like, you know, kind of an updated look at the brand, because I already have done a top 5, bottom 5 on CoverGirl. But I was recently looking back at what I featured and I thought, oh my gosh, you know, some of these things aren't even around anymore. So there were a couple of things I wanted to pick up to retry. One is the CoverGirl CG Smoothers BB Cream. I got that in light to medium. This was probably one of the first ever tinted moisturizers outside of something from Neutrogena that was called Sheer Tint that I used back in like high school, maybe even junior high. CoverGirl had a tinted moisturizer. Now they're calling it CG Smoothers BB Cream. But I wanted to give that a go again because it's been a long time. Also, their Outlast All Day Lip Color. Now my mom loves this stuff. If you were to ask her, what's a CoverGirl thing you'd put in your top 5? She'd definitely put this in there because she swears by the fact that she can put it on, it won't like fade into lines outside her lips, and it lasts all day. What I've struggled to do is settle on a shade I really like in this stuff. So I thought I'd try 2 different ones. I got Forever Fawn, which is kind of light, like nude looking, and then Natural Blush, which seems a bit deeper, a little plummier, but still kind of neutral. And I was just wondering, can I find an everyday shade in this stuff that I would really enjoy wearing? Because I do think it's a good concept in that it's a 2-step process. You're going to put basically like your liquid lipstick all over your lips, and then you have a balm to put on top to make it feel comfortable. It's the mother of all liquid lipsticks, y'all. I mean, it came first, and it came a long ways ahead of the whole liquid lipstick trend. So a CoverGirl video is definitely gonna be coming, but I just felt I needed to dig into a few more things. There are also some new things that I've been sent in PR that I need to play with a bit more, and then I'll be coming at you with that video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again real soon. Bye!